Hello and welcome. My name's Jake, and we've been getting a lot of questions about what is Azure Arc and what's the difference between an Arc-enabled server or Azure Local VMs enabled by Azure Arc. So I've got hopefully a pretty quick video for you today going through all of that. First question, of course, what is Azure Arc? And to me, there's two primary focuses. The first is going to be having a single control plane for all of your servers. It's going to be the Azure portal. And then the second, and to me the more important part, is extending Azure features to all of your servers not running in Azure. These are going to be things like Azure Policy, Azure Monitor, Log Analytics, uh, all of the cool stuff being done in the cloud, working for the on-prem VMs. So digging into the differences a little bit, Azure Monitor, Azure Insights, Azure Log Analytics, those are both going to work for Arc-enabled servers or Azure Local VMs enabled by Azure Arc. But Azure Alerts is in Azure Local VMs enabled by Azure Arc or VMs on Azure Cloud feature. Next up, some more basic operation stuff. Security recommendations, Azure extensions, Azure policy and compliance. Those are all going to work for both, but Azure Auto Manage is a feature for Azure Local VMs enabled by Azure Arc. Next up is a lot of the more optional stuff. Um, Azure Update Manager and Azure Inventory and Change Tracking. Uh, Those are only going to be free if you have active software assurance. If it's an Arc-enabled server, it's always free on Azure Local. And then extended security updates are free on Azure Local or Azure Cloud. Currently, that's going to be your Server 2012 and 2012 R2 servers. Um, you can get them for Arc-enabled servers, but there is a cost. Uh, and then Defender for Cloud, there is a cost regardless of what it's running on. Getting into the more very different stuff is the server control, things like start, restart, stop a server, add a network interface or data disk, change the vCPU or memory. That's obviously stuff where you need pretty deep hooks into the hypervisor to do that. So that's going to be Azure Local VMs enabled by Azure Arc. Uh, Pretty similar, deploy server from an Azure image. Uh, that's taking an image from the marketplace and actually deploying a VM from it. That's how things are done in Azure, and you can do that on Azure Local as well. But Arc-enabled servers are getting Arc-enabled after they're deployed, so you can't use Arc to deploy that there. But Connect with SSH is available for both. So of course the big question, cool, what does it cost? Well, things of course get a little bit more complicated there, as cost things always do with Microsoft and cloud. The previously mentioned Arc SSH and Arc custom script extensions are free no matter what, as long as it's arced. Defender for servers does have a cost, regardless of where it's running. Azure Update Manager and Azure Policy and Change Tracking are free on Azure Local or with hybrid benefits, but have a cost for pay as you go. ESUs for Server 2012. Of course, the cost is going to be different based on cores and data center versus standard. I just did 2-core pack for data center. There is a cost, whether you're pay as you go or hybrid benefit with software assurance. It is free on Azure Local, so that can be a pretty good reason to move if you've got a bunch of old servers. And then regardless of what you're running on, Log Analytics and Sentinel are just charging based on the data being streamed into it, regardless of where it's coming from. So hopefully this is pretty short for you. give you a pretty good understanding of what's going on. Of course, this is pretty surface level. If you've got any questions, feel free to reach out. We're happy to have a talk with you about how Arc might be able to help you out. So thanks, and have a good day.